What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. I have a bunch of stuff to talk about today, including Bandai Namco jumping a little more on the Switch bandwagon from what we've seen, admitting that they were incorrect about how the Switch was going to be accepted by the marketplace. Also found out some more information about Ubisoft's financial situation, which is kind of interesting based on some of the statistics they gave us. And then TakeTwo shows the balance sheet that seems to favor microtransactions as being a massive, massive profit generator. So let's get started. So throughout the day yesterday, we found out a lot of information around Japanese companies with the Switch. Remember what we were talking about yesterday? We talked all about how they're scrambling, they're trying to figure this out. Well, it looks like in this case, Bandai Namco is one of them, at least to a degree. Now, they have released some stuff, and they have kind of alluded to some things. They were kind of the company that we made fun of because they kept trying to get people to port beg for different things, like Dragon Ball FighterZ, for example. And now it looks like they're kind of on the other side of, we need to get on the Switch now. In fact, they are saying that next year, between spring and summer of 2018, possibly, depending on where it is, it could fall in E3. That seems like a good time for them to announce it based on their timetable here. 3 Switch games are coming out. Now, this could be a couple things. A lot of people are trying to figure out what they might be talking about here. It could be a couple things. We do know a Tales game of some kind is coming to the Switch from them, so that could be some sort of Tales game that gets announced. A new one could be exclusive to the Switch. Could even be on other systems as well. As far as we know right now, that they are very interested. They're shifting resources, according to their president, to more accommodate the Switch, since it seems to be a very popular system in Japan, and it appears to be very popular all around the world. So to them, it's past that initial test, and now they'll kind of jump on board. But this has left a lot of us trying to figure out what other games they could be talking about. Sure, they could do things like port Dragon Ball FighterZ, right? You see Dark Souls, maybe a compilation, maybe just Dark Souls 3. But there are a lot of possibilities here. Of course, they do like the One Piece series in Japan. And at this point, anyone's guess, right? So why don't you guys let me know down in the comments what you think Namco could be working on, or Bandai could be working on here. It's very interesting to try to figure it out. I would say E3 is probably where they could announce it, or maybe they just throw it out there in a press release. Now, they also wanted to make it extremely clear that they're not limited on resources. They have plenty of resources, and they're going to continue, of course, developing for the PS4, Steam, and Xbox One, which I guess that makes sense. Xbox One, while a lot of people like to say, why are you making games for a system that doesn't have a great attach rate? Sure, but I mean, the Xbox One and the PS4 chips are so similar. Porting games back and forth isn't super difficult. In fact, if you've already made the journey to develop for the PS4 or the Xbox One, moving over is a much smaller task compared to the entirety of creating that game in the first place. And of course, there are somewhere between 30 and 35 million people on the Xbox One, at least in terms of unit sales. So in their mind, well, why not? Yesterday morning, we also had a big direct for the next big game from Nintendo, being Xenoblade Chronicles 2, a game I'm excited for because I personally like JRPGs. I love JRPGs. I like playing them a lot. And it's going to be very interesting to be on a handheld like the Switch. It seems like a really big adventure on a handheld device like the Switch. It's going to be so much fun. But the Direct gave us some pretty cool information. They kind of centered around, from what I was seeing, the battle system. And I do think the battle system may be complicated for some people, specifically the mainstream audience that wants to play things like Mario and stuff. I don't think Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is going to sell as well as Mario, Zelda, games like that, but it will do really well in the JRPG lineup. I think everyone's going to want to play it if you like JRPGs. And they also gave us some other information concerning Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's very interesting to see, but they're adding an outfit from Xenoblade 2, essentially. The Rex costume is coming November 9th. It's going to be a free update, so you just go in there and you download. There's going to be a quest that you go on. More than likely, it's going to be a download or just an update that you probably don't even notice, because the Switch has that ability to just update while it's in sleep mode. It's going to be a quest you go on, and you get this really cool looking outfit. That's a great idea to help promote this game. I mean, think about it. Most people who play Zelda, while it's not the same type of game completely, it at least has some parallels, and it will line up for some people. And adding that outfit so far in advance will give people like a little look, because, you know, if you're playing Zelda, even if you're a fan of Zelda and you don't know what Xenoblade is, because maybe you didn't have a Wii or Wii U, or you never even looked in the series, because the original one had some issues with GameStop, where, remember, they were like, it was GameStop exclusive thing, they were opening them, it was a whole thing. And then if you didn't have a Wii U, well, you didn't play the last one, Xenoblade Chronicles X. So in this case, they added into Zelda. If you're a Zelda fan, you go on the quest, you get the outfit, you go, oh, what's Xenoblade, let me check it out. Maybe you get interested, and then they get a sale out of you. That's kind of the idea here. Now, let's had a bunch of other information, including an optional download, which is something a lot of people were hoping for. They're going to give you Japanese audio and English subtitles. It's going to be available day one as an optional download, which is great because there were so many people who were worried since, in this case, I know Nintendo likes to keep their languages regionized. So if you have like a Japanese account, you get Japanese voices or text. In this case, they're going to give you an option to have Japanese audio and English subtitles. People do prefer that Japanese voice over the English dub, so that makes a lot of sense. Very cool. And they also told us about a season pass. Now, I know what you're thinking right away. You're like, oh great, a season pass, here we go. Because I know in some cases, DLC season passes, they've been they kind of have bad rap. And I get that, because sometimes you see it and there's content that appears to be taken out and they hold it back from you with something like a season pass or DLC. And of course, season passes are a great way to sell you the DLC before it's even ready. But I will say, looking at Xenoblade 2, if you're a Xenoblade fan, it looks like there is some actual content there. So here we go with the season pass support items for your journey. That's starting December 2017. So more than likely, either the day it comes out or around there, maybe the week it comes out, that'll be available. So that's kind of like how in Zelda, they kind of, Breath of the Wild, they kind of threw you some stuff right away for you buying the season pass. Down from there, starting January that following year, so a month later, new quests for the main game. Then in spring 2018, a rare blade, new challenge battle mode in summer of 2018, and then finally, what appears to be almost a full year later, a brand new story and adventures. So this is almost following really the timeline that Zelda has been following with its DLC. There appears to be a little more here, although Zelda did have a pretty good second expansion with Hero Path and everything. But what's great here is it seems to be more content if you're a Xenoblade fan. It is $30, so you do kind of have to think about that a little bit. It doesn't seem like much is going to be here until January, so if you're not like, maybe you want to play the game, see if it's for you before you invest the money, you can do that, and then you can even wait for that first quest to see if it's worth getting into the season pass. And if it's not, you can even wait till the rare blade, maybe the challenge mode, or maybe wait all the way until next autumn before you buy into it. At least this way you can see kind of people's opinions. Either way, Xenoblade 2 looks like it's going to be just another phenomenal release for Nintendo in its first not even full year. Keep in mind, we won't be in the Switch's first full year until March 3rd, and we're already seeing these kind of releases. So great to have this out right before the holiday. It's releasing December 1st, and I think it's gonna be a good pickup. Next up, we got more information about Ubisoft, specifically their quarterly earnings. They did release these, and these do include information based around the Switch, the Xbox, PS4, PC, etc., all this stuff. But it does include the Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Just Dance 2018 games that did release on the Switch, and it gave us an idea of where the Switch's market is for Ubisoft. And you might be a little surprised here, because Ubisoft have released at this point more games for the Xbox, more games for the PS4 than the Switch. But here is their latest chart they released, and you're gonna notice something right away. Quarter 2, 2017-18. Look at the Switch, and then look at the Xbox One. 19% for the Switch. This is breakdown of sales overall by platform. And then you'll see the Xbox One. So the Switch, 19%, Xbox One, 20%. You're going to see just how close they are. So the Switch is doing well, so well, it's almost outselling the Xbox One in terms of really their breakdown of sales. This is, again, by platform. You see the PS4, 31%. Fully expect that. The PS4 has significant amount more systems than the Xbox One and the Switch, but the Switch has a good bit less than the Xbox One since it's still so new. However, it still counts for nearly the same amount of sales for Ubisoft as the Xbox One. So the Switch is doing well, and it looks like Ubisoft knows this, and they seem to be very, very interested in the Switch. So much more that they're saying, hey, next year, more releases all over the place coming from us for the Switch. So at this point, we see Bandai jumping on board. Ubisoft was already there, right? They were developing Mario Rabbids for a while. So they've been there, and they're jumping on board to come back next year. And it looks like 2018 is going to be a big year for the Switch. I think most of us know this, especially if Metroid and Pokemon get out there, and then if all these Japanese developers are scrambling. Western developers are going to get on board at some point. We've seen Bethesda. They had some deal with Nintendo. Expect places like EA, for example. Maybe Madden shows up. Maybe we see Activision with Call of Duty. I do think 2018 is going to be a very good year for the Switch, along with the PS4, and I'm hoping that the Xbox One steps up and starts buying some studios, or just starts creating some new exclusives, because they're going to start getting buried by the Switch if they don't. Also, real quick, if you're an Assassin's Creed fan, you should be very happy, because one of the quotes that they said on this conference call is that Assassin's Creed is back. And what they mean by that is Origins has now doubled the sales of Syndicate in either games first 10 days. So the first 10 days of Syndicate, when that sold, was half of the first 10-day sale of Origins. So that's a big deal. Now, I do think that year off really helped. I do think Assassin's Creed should be a bi-yearly release, maybe even longer than that. I think when you start really putting a game out over and over and over again, especially that where you're trying to tell this big narrative, right? It's one thing with Call of Duty, because some people buy Call of Duty, they don't even play the single player. They just jump right into multiplayer and that's it. Whereas Assassin's Creed, all you're doing is playing the single player. I think it's a great idea to either trade off Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed, or even give Assassin's Creed 3 years, because if it shows here, if you have enough time and you create an interesting setting, you polish the gameplay, people are going to buy it. Syndicate is clearly not a bad game, but Origins had a few things. It had that really people, that anticipation, that build up of something so new, being in Egypt and everything. They had that year off. Makes a lot of sense. Don't bring Assassin's Creed back right away next year. Give it another year. Maybe give it 2 years and then see where you can go from there. And in our last bit of news, we're going to finish up with Take-Two's financials. More information came out from them alongside Ubisoft and everyone else, where they kind of all released their quarterly earnings around the same week or so as everyone else. But Take-Two's was very interesting because, of course, that includes what is now the best-selling game of all time, Grand Theft Auto 5. It did pass Wii Sports. Wii Sports was way up there because, keep in mind, Wii Sports was kind of a free game, right? It came with a lot of Wiis. The Wii sold like crazy. Everyone had Wii Sports because they had a Wii. Now, GTA 5 was a full price $6 game. It did fluctuate in pricing as we know, but at this point it has sold over 85 million copies of this game, which is amazing. It's been released on 5 different systems, probably a 6th system coming up, as we all kind of expect it showing up on the Switch at this point, but it has made them a tremendous amount of money, not only through just regular sales, but microtransactions are extremely popular here with those shark cards. So their net revenue was $443.6 million as compared to $420 million in last year's second quarter. And what's interesting here is recurrent consumer spending. This includes virtual currency, add-on content, microtransactions, actually grew 66% year over year, and that alone accounted for 48% of that total net revenue. And the largest contributions are more than likely, as we can all assume, shark cards, right, from Grand Theft Auto and any other microtransactions in their games. This tells me that microtransactions are popular. As much as a lot of people online don't like them, they're going to have a place in some way, shape, or form in these games going forward, because it provides recurring revenue. It seems to be super easy to put into these games, and as much as consumers backlash about it, people buy the game still. NBA was how much backlash did NBA 2K18 get when it came out? As people were like, they're making us grind, they're making us buy stuff and everything because we don't want to grind. Well, that game still shipped over 6 million units. They said so themselves here. So according to them, they even said this. Well, people still buy our game, so I don't really know why we wouldn't put these microtransactions in there. And that's it, right? I mean, that's the way it goes. Until microtransactions actually hurt the game sales, they're going to keep putting them in there. They're going to keep testing the waters. They're going to try to push it a little further, a little further, a little further until they hit a wall when people don't buy. And then they back off a little bit because they'll know what their limit is. So expect a lot of experimentation going forward with microtransactions and anything else they can figure out. Loot boxes just happen to be the big trend right now. They also finished up by saying they expect next fiscal year, 2019, to be a record-setting year. Of course, I think GTA 5 is getting released on the Switch, but outside of that, Red Dead Redemption 2 is also coming out. Now, before you say, oh no, it's getting pushed back to 2019. Well, no, the fiscal year, these are confusing, I know, but it's because it ends in 2019. The fiscal year 2019 is actually April to March. So it's April of 2018 all the way to the end of March of 2019. That's why they name it 2019, because it ends in 2019. But so, no, it won't be pushed back. It's coming out next year, and they expect to make a boatload of money. We'll still have multiplayer as confirmed on this conference call, which means microtransactions. It's the way it is, I'm sorry. And I do think, like I said, GTA 5 will make its way to the Switch probably in that same fiscal year. So very interesting stuff. Take-Two, swimming in money. There's Grand Theft Auto is making more money than I've ever seen, and it's pretty impressive, I must say. And ladies and gentlemen, that is it for Newswave. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. You guys have been liking these videos so much they seem to consistently get over 1,000 likes, and it helps. I see the views go up and the recommendeds go up and the stats and everything. So thank you so much for liking these videos. It really helps. Let me know what you think, guys, about any of the stuff we talked about today. Specifically, this whole situation with Bandai and the Switch. What games do you think are popping up? I mean, they said 3. They specifically said 3, actually. They didn't even like, oh, a few games coming. No, 3 games from them, you know, next year at some point between spring and summer. I think E3 is like the time to show this stuff off, but who knows? It could be randomly out of nowhere. What games do you guys think are coming in? I mean, really, you could pretty much look through their library or even try to think of one that maybe they could come up. I'm very interested to hear what you guys think here. Do you think Ubisoft and all these other companies are going to just start jumping on board with the Switch? And do you think Take-Two is pretty much they can't lose, because it seems like Grand Theft Auto is selling like crazy, and then here comes Red Dead Redemption 2, and maybe they port some stuff over to the Switch, and then microtransactions with Red Dead Redemption 2. It seems like a win-win for them. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.